Ezra, chapter 2, verse 6 through 7. The sons of Pahath-Moab, namely the sons of Jeshua and Joab, 2,812. The sons of Elam, 1,254. When I read this verse, I honestly questioned if I heard God right. It's not the typical go-to scripture. It's just names, just numbers. At least that's how it looks at first. But then I asked myself, why would God take time to include all of these names? Why does the Bible record so many genealogies all throughout the Old and New Testaments? I believe one reason is to trace the lineage of Jesus through Joseph all the way back to Abraham. We see that clearly in Matthew 1. But I don't think that's the only reason. I believe it's also to prove that God keeps his word. Back in Genesis 17:8, God told Abraham, I will give to you and your offspring after you the land of your sojournings, all the land of Canaan, for an everlasting possession, and I will be their God. Now it's over 1,500 years later, and that moment comes full circle. Abraham's bloodline returns to Canaan, the land promised long before. And Ezra doesn't just say a group came back. No, he gives us names, families, numbers, because what God speaks, he proves. But why? Because God doesn't forget who he made a covenant with. He doesn't forget the land he promised. He doesn't forget the people he chose. He doesn't forget. He left receipts, not just for them, but for us as well. For the ones reading now, for the ones who wrestle with doubt, for the ones who wonder if what he said will ever come to pass. This shows us that God's promises are not temporary. He doesn't throw out a word and leave it hanging, even if it takes generations, even if the person who received the promise doesn't live to see the fulfillment. That doesn't mean God didn't mean it. Sometimes he gives us a word, a promise, or a glimpse, and we don't get the full picture. We don't always get the when, the why, or the how. And that can be hard. But just like Abraham, we're called to believe anyway, to walk with him anyway. Because even if we don't see it all unfold, it's still unfolding. When I sat with this scripture, I realized God really does think of everything. Nothing is random. Nothing is wasted. Even the list of names in a chapter we usually skip, he put it there on purpose. That chapter wasn't about numbers. It was about fulfillment. A reminder that when God speaks, he watches over it. And when he calls you back to something, it's because the promise still stands.